Hello, welcome back. I'm Catherine from Cat's Craft Corner for the 22nd day of Canadian Cancer Society Awareness Campaign. So I finished spinning all of my fiber that I own, and it's the first time I've ever actually done drop spindling, and it didn't turn out too bad. It's not great, but I got better at the end. So I'm just caking it up now. But I got much better near the end. The beginning is absolutely deplorable. I have some yarn that's not going to be usable, but I think I'll make this up into a cowl shortly and give it a go. But once I'm done caking this, I'm going to go back to connecting my crochet squares. Also, I might be a little low on energy or going in and out of energy because the men's hockey game didn't end exactly the way I had hoped, especially since we were shooting a ratio of 2-1 on net. And 3-on-3 is stupid. So if I'm bubbly one moment and then a little low on energy, it's because I'm remembering how we will probably never hear the end of this in the political climate, because you can guarantee that Taco is going to throw this back in our face and be like, well, if you were the 51st state, you would have won. But yeah. So my first drop spindling didn't go so bad. I'm happy I gave it a good old-fashioned try. I have washed what I spun, and I tried the whole smack thing where you like, I don't know if I did it right or if it actually made any difference of securing the twists into the yarn. But the yarn seems to be holding a twist. I don't have a nitty knotty or nitty knotty. So I just used the back of a chair to wrap. I don't actually know how many yardage I got, but I will weigh it and find out how many grams, because there was some that ended up as like small fluffs that didn't stay in the twist, and that will reduce the amount of grams that I originally had in the braid. So it's probably less than 100 grams, but it still looks pretty good. But yeah, my drop spindling near the end is significantly better than what it was at my first attempts. So yeah, if I do this again, I think it'll have a much better result. But yeah, gotta start somewhere. And it doesn't have to be pretty the first time you do it. You just got to do it and learn from it, right? But it was kind of cool. Chris got really into, like, I guess the mechanics of it. So he asked if there was like electronic ones, like couldn't I just put the drop spindle on a spinner? And I'm like, yeah, they're called e-spinners. And he went down the rabbit hole of looking up e-spinners, trying to understand how the mechanics of the machine works, like the tether that helps draw in the initial fiber to start. So it's generally like a fishing line or a cord. And then how there's a brake and how there's two speeds and why does it matter if it goes in one direction and then another direction, and what the heck plying is. So it was kind of fun seeing him go down that rabbit hole and looking up the different brands. He's like, so this Ashford one seems to be like the Primo brand. He's like, but it's $1,200 or something like that. And I'm like, it's a good brand. It's not exactly Primo, but it's a good brand. It is expensive. Like, it is one of the more expensive brands, but there are a lot of expensive brands out there for e-spinners. But yeah, I'm okay with how I did. I'm okay with it. Not great, but I'm okay with it. I did discover, so there is a person I follow on Instagram. She was also mentioned recently on the Grocery Girls podcast, Northern Crow Creations. So she glass blows a bit, and she actually has drop spindles where she's glass blown the it's kind of like the saucer that's on it. Let me grab my spindle. The saucer part, she is glass blown, so that's really cool. And yeah, who knows, maybe if I get better and I'm less likely to drop it, I'll look into getting one either to actually use or as decoration. I'll probably actually use it. A lot of things in our house are mainly for use. With having two very large dogs, we can't really own nice things. Well, we can own nice things, but we can't own nice, delicate things. Yes, so all of my potted plants are either out of the way of the dog's tails, or they're in pots that I don't care if they get broken. So, yeah, we don't have too many fancy things because of our big dogs. Their tails, when they get excited, they're like maces. They just go swinging and take everything out with them. But yeah, I found this actually to be a very nice activity to do in between knitting and crocheting, because I was kind of hitting a bit of a funk where I didn't want to knit, I didn't want to read, I didn't want to crochet. And usually when I don't want to do any of those things, it means that I'm probably catching a cold or like something's off. So having this was actually a nice little break from those, and I was still involved in the craft that I love. But yeah, so this is more of the second last batch that I hand spun, and it's more consistent. So I'm pretty happy with how I finished. Didn't start great, but I finished pretty good. Yeah. So again, I don't remember who or where I got this fiber from, but I do remember that's a 22 micron. So from my understanding, that is basically it has to do with the fibers like width, I believe. So 22 is a decent width for yarn, and pretty staple. I'll have to double check that though, but it's commonly said in the spinning community of like, oh, it's 22 microns. And all I know is that that's kind of like a standard. But yeah, like I really enjoy this colorway. It's kind of moody. Yes, it's moody. It's got some beautiful greens in it and dark like storm cloud purple. So yeah. Seems to be my theme of items today, because this is what my crochet sweater squares look like, and they're kind of like a sage green with a moody purple. So it seems to be a common theme right now. The pattern that I'm doing for my crocheted sweater is the Gemini sweater by Crochet Highway. And she also just came out with a new book on interlacing or interlocking crochet stitches. So it's almost like a Stittionary. But yeah, so I'm excited to try connecting those squares again today. And then maybe I'll read. So I do use Goodreads. And I do enjoy that it has the book challenge thing. So I do look up our local library's book challenges. And it's just a fun way to motivate yourself to read if you're in like a funk. Because it also exposes you to different authors that you may never have considered. So I am reading the book Arcane Inheritance, and it is written, I believe, by a BIPOC author, and it basically has to do with a girl who's on scholarship at this really fancy like boarding university, and she's having a sense of like deja vu, like she's been there before. And from the synopsis that I got, it is important that she remembers why it feels like deja vu and like why it feels like she's been through it all before and been there before. Otherwise, she'll actually fully lose herself. So it's interesting because it just from that synopsis, it kind of gives a sense of like it's important to acknowledge and understand your history so you can know where you came from and where you've been, sort of deal. And while that does make the makeup up of who you are, doesn't mean that's who you are in that moment, but it's still a component of who you are, and it made you up to be who you are now, right? So I think that's an interesting concept. But yeah, it's an interesting read so far. So I've caked up my handspun. Looks pretty good. I'm excited to make this into a cowl. Yeah. It's not super super soft, but it's not rustic. It'll definitely work directly on skin. But I'm just going to do a generic stockinette in this so that I could see the details of how the different colors spun up in my hand spun. But yeah, not bad for my first go for drop spindling. I would love an ease. Of course, I need a new hobby on top of all my other hobbies: puzzles, scrapbooking, journaling, knitting, crocheting, cross stitching, embroidery, needlepoint. Probably missing something, but yeah. All right, so let's try disconnecting my squares again, shall we? Yes, Zeus. Daddy's home. Sorry, I'm gonna mute myself because my dog's gonna whine because Chris has come home from the grocery store. Oh, never mind, they've gone downstairs, so I don't need to mute myself. That is convenient. All right. So I have tried to connect this and it does not look correct. So I did a little bit of research. And while I haven't incorrectly connected them, I just didn't connect them very nicely. So this crochet connection is a join as you go, and essentially what is happening is that I am into the chain spaces and slip stitch in the chain spaces in square one, and then single crochet in the sorry, I'm explaining this horribly. So I slip stitch in the chain spaces of chain one, and apparently I come from above. I don't know how true that is for this one precisely, but in the references I looked at, I go from above to the back and slip. And then single crochet in the single crochet space. Actually, I think all of this is done in chain one spaces. Let me double check that. Into the next one, single crochet. Yes, okay. So I'm doing everything into chain one spaces. So then single crochet. Okay, so I single crocheted into the so I single crocheted into the corner, and then I have to chain one. Then I need to single crochet. Oh no, because the slip stitch counts as the chain one essentially. Okay, so to reiterate what I have just said, discombobulated. Right sides facing each other, slip stitch into the chain one space of square one, and single crochet into the chain one space of square two. And you continue that along. And the slip stitch in the square one essentially is equal to a single chain that you would do if you were just doing a border on square two. So it should still be, from my understanding, 11 single crochets, but let me double check that by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, it's still 11. Okay. So chain one. Okay, chain one, and then single. The only thing is I'm wondering if I'm supposed to do the single from a different standpoint. Because I know it says to put the two sides together, but I don't think it's looking like the way it should. So I'll do a few stitches and see what happens, and if I have to, I'll undo and switch my squares around so it looks correct. But from what I can tell so far, the connection should be somewhat seamless and looks similar to if I just single crocheted on either side of each square. So we'll see. Okay, chain space, single, 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 slip. Okay, I'm coming to the end, so I slip that one, single crochet into the corner, and I slip stitch into the corner of the first square, and then I chain one, and then I single crochet into the corner again. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the wrong side. This is what it looks like on the right side. I don't know which one I prefer. I have a feeling I prefer it to look this way. So I'm probably going to well, I don't know. Maybe it'll look better because it does line up with the other green parts in the square. So green lines up with green, lines up with green. So maybe it looks all right. But I don't know. I'm kind of liking the super blocked out version. Maybe I should take a vote on it. Because I don't want to get through it all and then, I don't know. Maybe I should just trust the process. Normally, that's the smartest thing to do, is just trust the process. Maybe I should just trust the process. Yeah, okay. Let me continue with this and see if I can trust the process. All right. Chain one space, chain one space. Let's just trust the process, shall we? Because it would add some, like, odd bumping on the right side if I kept this. Oh, sorry, if I switched the way in which I was doing it. Essentially meaning that rather than the right sides both facing each other, they face away from connecting. Okay. So how do then I now connect the third square? Okay, so I go all the way around and then I do it again. Okay. So that makes sense. So I have to do 3 sides always. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so I've done 3 sides. So then that means I need to connect another square. And of course, my dogs walked all over everything, so my squares are all over the place and messed up. I think I've got it. I think. Could be wrong. I might not got it. Is there any way I can tell what I did there? I think I've got this a little more figured out. I really should have taken a picture. Okay. Okay, I think I'm good. I think. We'll find out. Anyways. Next square, put both sides together. Attach at the right corner. A single crochet. And then slip. Single crochet. Slip. Single crochet. Slip. Single crochet. Slip. Single crochet. Oh, hang on. Maybe that's how I'm supposed to do it. No, I don't think so. Because I don't go through both squares. I only go through one square. Not both. Again, trust the process, Catherine. Trust the process. Not everything looks great when you first start. Trust the process. Okay. Single crochet, slip one in the corner, chain one, and continue across. Two, three, four, eight, 9, 10. Chain one. All right, so there's 3 squares connected. It looks all right. It looks better now, and then that's the wrong side. Wrong side, right side. Again, trust the process. Yeah, just gotta trust the process. Such a weird thing, trusting a process. All right, I have to do the 3 sides. I have to do one more side. Almost connected it when I shouldn't have. Oops. What's that saying in crocheting? You have to ask yourself, do you know how to count? And are you ready for the answer to be no? Yeah, so I think once I'm done this 3rd side, I might call it. But yeah, we only have about 6 more days of the February knitting challenge. Yeah. Okay, there's the 3 sides. Okay, now I can connect the other square. And I connect with a single crochet. Connect. There we go. Okay. And then swoop. Single. Slip. Single. Slip. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. If you are a fan of the Team Canada hockey, it's okay. We have 4 more years till we're back on the Olympic stage and can redeem ourselves for the gold. But hey, silver is better than bronze. So we just got to remember that. Our women and boys have come a very long way and they have done amazing. Because if I tried to do what they did, I wouldn't have even qualified. Let's be real. Also, I never really did winter sports competitively. I tried to do snowboard racing, but couldn't really get into it too much. It didn't have the same exhilarating thrill as trampolining did for me, or pole vaulting. But it was still a good time. But I do give those that do winter sports a lot of credit. Okay. Alrighty, so there's 4 that are 3 sides. And I think it's good that I'm trusting the process because it's starting to look a little better. If I was to do it on the side where you could actually see the stitches, well, here we go, these, it would be a little too predominant. I think this is like a nice subtle connection that's still noticeable. So yeah, that's fun. But thank you again for joining me for 30-20 minutes or so on this winter Sunday, February. I hope you all have a great day. Stay warm, stay safe, stay dry. Bye.